Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Liz at Home. If this is your first time here, I hope that you'll enjoy the channel. If you've been before, I hope that you'll continue to come back again. And today I'm going to share what I've painted and colored in February of 2023. I'm sorry this video is so very late, but I don't know what's happening to the time. I've still not actually done my March plans, so I can't share those with you. I just feel like I'm racing against time. I'm going to start with the painting, and I haven't done as much. I did this with you guys on screen, the bubbles, and then I actually just painted some leaves on top with gold paint. I don't know if you can see them, if they're shining. And then that was just me practicing. Then I drew and painted this little delphinium, just trying that out. And that's all I've done in that book. Then in my flowers book, I did this one with you guys on screen, the little wild rose. And then I painted some roses trying to get a bouquet. And that's all I've done in this little book of mine, my flowers book. Then you've seen these. I did these on screen, 2 little round landscapes. I did some really bad tulips. I keep trying to paint tulips, and that one's kind of okay, but I don't know. We will continue to persevere. I did this online with you guys, this little bouquet. One was a practice, one was online. I did this little landscape, which I was just playing around with. And then I don't think I'm going to show you this next one. Then I did my little wreath, which we did online together. And then in my book, my landscape book, I just want to find, that's January, here. There are 2, I've only done 2 of these in February. There's this one, a snowy landscape, which I'm quite happy with, and I was practicing dry brush technique. And then practicing mixing colors, well, not mixing, but using colors from opposite sides of the color wheel to try not to, because yellow and blue kind of makes green, and I didn't want a green sky, so I was practicing that and trying to get a glowing sky. So that's all my watercolor paintings for the month of February. And then in the coloring, I did this little one from Chris Reiniak's Frogs and Friends, and that was for Frogs and Friends Color Along, which is run by Disney Meg and Amanda Colors. So that was that one, and for that I just used some markers. I cannot remember which ones, and then I used little dot markers that I've got for my grandchildren to play with. Oh, one other painting that I did is this. It's possibly one of my better paintings of the month. This was done from the Emma Lefebvre watercolor box. So I did that one. I feel like the roses are getting a bit better. I need more white space. The peony is a bit of a disaster. I can't quite get it. But there we have it. And it all sort of looks okay. It's a loose watercolor. Then in Stone Mosaic Black Edition, I did a buddy color on this picture. And I did that with Misty, which is country, can't remember the name of her channel, Country Girl or Country Colors or something like that. I enjoyed that, and I have another buddy color coming up now in March with her. Then in my Ilvi's mandalas, where shall I put these? Which is a book that I'm trying to complete. I did a few. I did this one, which was for a fairy tale February, and green hair girl, and I'm not sure if I ever actually posted it. But I did that one. Then I did this one for Jamie's Colouring Love. She had a highlighter hashtag, colour along. And then I did this one, Just Having Fun. Just felt like colouring with gel pens and markers and having fun. So I'm getting through this book. I'll do a few more and then we'll be done. Then I had the idea of doing one a day, like for the colour along. I had the idea for Valentine, but it didn't seem to, I didn't get many views on these. So in the end, I just finished these myself, and I used Prismacolor in that one. I used Inktense there. I painted with gel pens in the background, and I used gel pen just normally there. I used Tombow water-based markers on this one. I used Jane Davenport water-based markers, and then some metallic watercolors. And I used Posca paint pens and metallic watercolors there, and the rest were done a while ago. So that was my Valentine coloring, and I'll erase that. And then I also, in this picture, I colored this one, and I used Crayola pencils and Prismacolor pencils on the eyes, and in that I used that technique. I started that last month where you put the pencils in sort of a sponge in water for a bit, but I actually got tired of that and went over to Prismacolors. Then I used a lot of Gamsol where I'd used just Prismacolors. I used watercolor on the branches, and I detailed it with pencil, and then I also used a wink of Stella to get a little bit of shine here and there. You can see on the eye and the glasses. So that's that one. I'm going to keep them here. Then in Tidevav, I also did this for a hashtag. No, it wasn't a hashtag. This is just one I colored myself, and I did part of it online. And I used polychromos and Prismacolors and jelly, like sparkle jelly rolls. And I used acrylic paint in the background and a dauber with acrylic paint as well to make the sort of faux bokeh effect. And I was fairly happy with how that one turned out. I don't know if you can see the shine if I jiggle it a bit here. And I think this was for a hashtag. I think it was actually for a color along from Tidevav, which is called Seasons in English, for Instagram. So that's that. And then for another color along, and I think I posted all of those on Instagram. I did this one, which is from Fairy Tales, I think it's called, by Emily Lederhol Oberg, Sagor och Zegner. And I did this as a color along following a tutorial by Olivia Oderant. I was on her Patreon at the time. So a lot of the black lines were painted over with white gouache, and then we used polychromos for the rest, and then I used soft pastels for the background. And I enjoyed doing the tutorial a lot. She teaches very well. So that was on her Patreon, and it was quite an old one on her Patreon, but I wanted to color in this. And I think there's a hashtag for Emily Lee de Hall. And then I'd got myself this new book, which I was very thrilled about. And so I did 2 in here actually, and I used Stabilo fine liners. So this one, and I used the cross method, and it's the first time I've done these kind of color by number type things. So those were those 2. And then I was sort of inspired by the cakes and by Valentine's, and I'd got my 50 Romantic Miniatures book, and so I did this one just coloring, and that was just with markers with a little bit of detailing with glitter gel pens. And then I did this little one, which I'm quite happy with, and I did some of this online, and I've put washi tape around the end, and I used Arteza pencils. I did a base of Copic markers, and then I detailed with Arteza pencils, white gel pens. I also used white luminance, and I used gelatos on the background. So I'm actually, I'm quite happy with this. I think it's one of my better pictures of the month. I'm not sure if I did the right thing by putting the washi around it, but I felt like it needed a frame. And then in another color by number book, Fairy Touch of Magic, I did this one using markers, and then I do the lines around it with one of those silver gel pens, and this was for various hashtags. It was for Fairy Tales Coloring, which was at Maryful Colors. It was for February Coloroo, and it was for Jamie's February Color Along, which was Enchanting Year of Color, which was fairies. So that's that one. And I quite like how that turned out, and that was just done with touch markers. And then the last one for the month is this one from Vintage Fairies Colouring Book, which is actually quite a nice book, and it's the first picture I've coloured in here. And the book comes with suggested colours on the facing page, and I did this. I messed on the sides. I first pre-prepared the page with golden, what is it called? Satin glaze liquid, and let that dry overnight. And then I used Sakura Koi pens, they're water-based pens, brush markers, and then I activated them with water. And then I didn't like the background, so I ended up using Neo Color, and then I still didn't like it, and I went over it with some other kind of metallic watercolor. I did about 7 layers on the background, and I wasn't quite happy with how the background came out, but I enjoyed coloring this. I thought part of it came out nicely. So that's that, and that's all my efforts for the month of February. I do apologize for this being so late, but I'm a slow colorist. What can I say? That's just the way it is. And the painting also always takes me some time. And so within that, I'm going to love and leave you all, and wish you a very happy week of coloring, and I hope to see you at my next video. Bye-bye now.